Welcome to the Explainer. If you've ever built a system that started to buckle under its own success, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to tear into the proxy pattern. It's the secret weapon behind systems that can handle huge scale, survive failures, and stay clean and maintainable.
Okay, let's set the scene with a problem that, let's be honest, every single one of us has either faced or will face. Your system's a hit. Suddenly you've got 1 million users. Awesome, right? But every single request they make is hitting your database directly.
And boom, you've created a massive, unsustainable bottleneck. Your latency is through the roof, your costs are exploding, and as the engineer in charge, you have to step back and ask this one critical question. And you know what? The answer is almost always a hard no.
And this is what that pressure cooker looks like. You have every single piece of your business logic, every user request, every background job, just hammering the database over and over again. It becomes this single point of failure, and when it starts to choke, your entire system just grinds to a halt.
So this is where the real tension comes in. Your first instinct might be to fix this by cramming caching logic or maybe some access control right into your core business code. But what happens? It gets polluted, it becomes complex, fragile, and it totally violates one of the most fundamental principles of good software design.
And the solution? It's kind of beautiful in its simplicity. We introduce a middleman, a proxy. It stands between the caller and the database, and it intercepts the request. Now here's the crucial part. The caller has absolutely no idea it's not talking to the real database. To the caller, nothing has changed at all.
You know, this is the perfect way to think about it. The concierge is your proxy. You're the caller, and you just walk up and say, hey, get me a booking at that restaurant. You don't care if they have to call or use a special app or pull some strings. They handle all that complexity, and you just get the result. It's the same simple interface, but all the hard work is hidden.
So how does this digital concierge actually pull it off? Well, it all comes down to 3 simple but really powerful pillars that make this whole thing work.
These 3 rules are where the magic happens. First, the same interface. This means the caller never has to change. It's seamless. Second, the wrapping. The proxy secretly holds a connection to the real object, just in case it needs it. And third, interception. This is where we add our new behavior, our caching, our security checks, our logging, right inside the proxy.
Now, the proxy isn't a one-trick pony. It's not just for caching. It's a fundamental concept that can be applied to solve 3 very different kinds of problems. Let's dig into the flavors.
This table really shows you how versatile this thing is. First up, the remote proxy. It makes a network call feel like it's happening right here, on your local machine. Think about gRPC stubs. They hide all the messy network details. Then, there's the virtual proxy. This one's all about being efficient. It delays creating really expensive objects until you absolutely need them, just like when an ORM lazy loads data. And finally, you've got the protection proxy. It's basically a security guard, checking permissions before it lets a request through, which is exactly what an API gateway does.
All right, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty and see how you would actually build a caching proxy. We'll start with the game plan before we even look at a line of code.
Here's the logic. Super simple but powerful. First, we check the fast path, the cache. If we get a hit, awesome, we're done. If not, okay, we take the slow path to the database. But here's the clever part. We update the cache on the way out, so the next request for that same user is going to be lightning fast.
Everything starts here, with the contract. This interface is the foundation. It's the golden rule. Both our real database and our new proxy must obey this contract. This is what lets us swap them out without anyone noticing.
Next up, we define the proxy itself. So inside, it's holding a reference to the real database, and it's got a simple cache. And then there's this little guy, did last search used cache. This looks like a simple Boolean, but trust me, it's an observability hook that's going to be super important later.
And finally, the action. The find user method on our proxy is where we bring that logic to life. It checks the cache first, and only if it gets a miss does it bother calling the real database. From the outside, the caller has no idea any of this is happening. They just get their user.
Okay, so you might be thinking, this is a neat idea, but is it just, a textbook pattern? The answer is no. The truth is, you are using proxies all day, every day, probably without even realizing it. I mean, just look at this list, from the API gateways that handle your auth and rate limiting to the CDNs like Cloudflare that literally speed up the entire internet. It's deep inside Kubernetes, routing all the traffic. It's even in the HTTP clients you write in Go. This pattern is the invisible backbone of so many modern systems.
Okay, quick sidebar, but this is really important. People get proxy and decorator confused all the time. Here's the key difference. A proxy controls access and has the exact same interface, which is locked in at compile time. A decorator adds new responsibilities, and you can wrap objects with it dynamically at runtime. Think of it as controlling versus adding.
Whew, okay. We have covered a ton of ground, so let's bring it all home. If you remember nothing else from this explainer, I want you to lock in these 4 key ideas. First, and I can't say this enough, this is the most critical rule of all.
This right here is the golden rule. It's non-negotiable. It's the whole reason you can swap in the proxy without changing a single line of your existing code. It has to be a perfect stand-in.
Second, remember that it's a multi-tool.
Yeah, this pattern is not a one-size-fits-all solution. You have to be smart about it. Figure out if you're dealing with a network boundary, an expensive object, or a security check, and then pick the right flavor of proxy for that specific job.
Third, you got to think about observability from day one. Remember that little Boolean from our code? Did last search used cache? It looks like a simple flag for testing, right? Wrong. In a real production system, that's the seed for your metrics. That little Boolean becomes your cache hit rate, probably one of the most important performance metrics you can track.
And finally, a word of caution. A bit of friendly advice.
Look, the proxy pattern gives you the perfect place to put a cache, but it does not magically solve one of the hardest problems in all of computer science, knowing when to throw that cache data away. Before you write a single line of code, you have to have a rock-solid strategy for invalidating your cache.
And that's really the big takeaway, isn't it? Now that you know the blueprint for the proxy pattern, I guarantee you're going to start seeing it everywhere, in the systems you use, the libraries you import, and the code you write. So, the next time your system is groaning under pressure, don't just throw more servers at it. Step back and ask yourself, could a proxy be the clean, elegant answer I've been looking for?